This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Jacki, what is one small perk that you get to enjoy because of your job?
So my part-time job is actually at a climbing gym. And so the small perk, which is actually not that small, is a free membership and discount on all the climbing gear. So I get paid and also save money.
And can you come back and be like, I feel like climbing?
Yep, I have a regular membership like any other member. And actually, there's an additional bonus that employees, we can climb after hours as long as there's more than one of us there. Like if it's closed, we can get a group together and just climb ourselves. So, yeah.
Well, that's fun. I've never gone climbing, but I feel like I would enjoy it. So I'll come.
It's a blast.
I'll come fly to you and you can teach me how to climb. So we are talking today about you having a part-time job while you also still run your business and how you kind of juggle that, why you kept it, all the fun things. But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I am a systems and ops consultant and advisor for website designers who are in that messy middle of things where they're thinking, I can't keep doing things the way I've been doing them. I'm at capacity. Things feel too hard. And I go in and I help them find the ways to simplify things, systematize things, make things just easier for them.
Yes. And I know we have a lot of website designers that are listening or in Slack. So hopefully you'll go check out Jacki because as a fellow website designer, systems are very important. So we need more Jackis in the world. Okay. So I want to start with, I know I have kind of heard, maybe even not directly, but indirectly over the years. Well, if you're not all in on your business, then you're not quote unquote serious. And while I don't agree with that, I'm curious about when you decided to keep your part-time job, did you hide this for a while? Was it a secret? Was it public knowledge? How did you feel keeping your job? Were you totally okay with it? Did you kind of have to get over some shame from it? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I actually had my business and then started the part-time job. So I started the business when they wanted everybody to come back into the office for full-time work. COVID, I was not going to happen. And at the time, I was sharing expenses with somebody. And then that shifted and changed, and I was on my own, and I had to pay all the bills. And that was fine for a while. But there was always this niggling, if I lost a client, I can't pay rent. And so that was a scary thought. And I was talking to my coach at the time about I had used to work at the Y, and it was great because it gave me a membership and all of these other things. And it would be great to find just a small part-time job that I could still run my business full-time and just would have this stable income that I could count on month to month. And I had just started climbing at the local gym, and I was like, it'd be awesome if I could get a job there. And literally 2 days later, they posted a job posting for the front desk. And I was like, well, I kind of think this means I should apply. And so I've been working there 3 years now. And I've heard that. I've heard a lot this, you're not going all in if you keep your day job or if you have a part-time job. And I guess what is all in, what does that mean to people? That's kind of a broad statement. And it's also very much that hustle culture of working 90 hours a week until you're making 7 figures and all of that. And that's not the business that I wanted to run. I want a business that makes my life fun and easy and I can thrive in. And part of that means that I have a small little steady income on the side that I can count on even during slow periods. So I've been upfront from day one. I'm very transparent about a lot of my numbers, especially with my email list. But, those stories on Instagram that it's what's on your to-do list today? Mondays and Wednesdays, it always says part-time job. So I'm very upfront with that.
Yeah. And I like that you are transparent about it because I think the online space just needs a lot more transparency in a lot of things. And so, yeah, I think especially honestly with all the inflation and stuff going on, it's rough out there for a lot of
It's
people. Like
yeah.
I'm lucky that business has been very good, but I see probably on a daily basis on threads that someone is struggling. They need more clients. They're like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. It's been a rough year. And I think I've mentioned this in other podcasts, but when I first went full time in my business, which has been like 11 years, I was like, if it doesn't work, I will go work part time at Starbucks or something,
Mhm.
And I think sometimes for our nervous systems, I think it's the best move that some people could make for that backup, like you said.
Well, and I think about I'm in the US, and for anybody in the US, they know, like one illness
Yeah.
and you're in so much trouble, medical bills and all this other stuff. And so even if your business is booming, that little part-time job can be there to just to extra spending money or for
Mm-hmm.
your retirement savings or whatever it happens to be because yeah, inflation's high, medical bills could wipe you out, who knows. So
Yeah. I have often thought about, like, again, my business is good, so I don't need to do this, but I am a very early gym goer, and there's an early morning front desk shift. And I have often thought I could literally work the front desk shift from like 5 a.m. to I don't know how late they work, and then go work all day, and I could just have this extra money. But then I would miss mornings with my husband and my daughter. So that I'm
there's
like,
always trade-offs.
yeah, maybe. I was like, I don't need the money that bad. So, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know, just be like fun, something different, meet people. Maybe I would get a free gym membership out of it. I don't know if that's a perk there. But,
Well, and for me too, there was the perk of like I was brand new to climbing at the age of like 46.
mhm,
And so, a lot of the people at the gym, I mean, they're literally my son's age and younger. But it was a chance for me to like, get to know the community as an introverted person who doesn't
mhm,
usually have an easy time starting conversations with groups of people. But if it was my job, and they're coming in, I see their names and now an easy way to have community around me. But also, when you work from home by yourself, it can get a little lonely sometimes.
mhm.
So this is my forced, get out of the house, be social with people.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you picked up the part-time job. How has having this other stable, consistent income changed how you show up in your business? Like, I don't know if that affected your pricing or your boundaries or maybe even your offers, or did it impact any of those things?
I would say I've always been very good with my boundaries, but it made it easier to let go of clients that were
Mm,
not respecting those boundaries. And it also has made it very clear when I can be available to clients and when I can't, because I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. Even if I'm working at the gym I work there about 12 hours a week. So that's 12 hours that's taken away from my business. So I still have to fit my business in
mm,
the rest in
mhm,
that time and still not work evenings or Saturdays and Sundays as much as possible. And so finding a way to build in time to communicate with my clients and how to communicate with them, but also when am I going to actually work on the work that I need to do for them and market myself so I can get more clients and all the other things that go with doing a business. So
mhm.
getting really clear on priorities was probably the number one thing. And then figuring out how to make all those priorities work within the limited time that I had available to me.
Yeah. Was there anything that you cut where you're like, hey, I don't have time for, I don't know. A lot of people on this podcast cut Instagram. Were you like, hey, this marketing channel is not working? Or maybe you were, going to start a YouTube channel and then you're like, nope, don't have time. Was there anything that you cut?
I don't think that there's anything that I necessarily cut. I didn't do as often. And I
Mm,
don't, like, say Instagram, I don't show up as often on Instagram as I used to. I don't scroll as much as I used to. I've never really shown up on LinkedIn. But it did give me permission to be like, you don't have to. You don't have
right.
time. You don't
Yes.
have to. I did recently let go of my own podcast. I had been running it since March of 2021. And finally, one, it felt like it had done the thing it needed to do. And
Hmm.
also, I was like, I have all these other things in my business I need to do. The podcast is not the best use of the limited time I have available to me.
Yes. I think that's one really good advantage Though I'm sure it's hard, but with, people that have limited hours, because 'cause we've had different people, whether they're, like, caring for an elderly parent or caring for kids or working. We've had a few guests that have limited schedules, and they're like, "It forces me to cut the excess and the things that aren't converting, the things that I felt pressure to do." And so I'm like, maybe we all need to do this where we have like limited time. Like, you have to choose. You have to focus on the things that are
Mhm.
actually working. There's all the different ways that people run their schedules. Like, I have a friend who she batches like podcasts 1 week a month. And I have, like, so do you do anything like that where you're like, this week of the month, I do this, or this day of the week? Or do you just kind of move things around like a puzzle each week and just make it work?
I was for a while there a batcher, and it worked for me at the time, but I found that my brain, probably perimenopause, doesn't let me do that anymore. Like, I have to wait until the idea comes to me,
Yeah.
and even then sometimes I'm like, I still don't have the words, like my email for tomorrow. So yeah, I don't do it that way any longer, mostly because I don't have as much flexibility.
Yeah.
What I do is make sure that I don't take calls until after a certain time in the
Mm.
day, so that I can prioritize my own business at the start of the day because I'm an early bird person. So I work better in the
Mm-hmm.
mornings. And I also just give myself the freedom to like, if the day is not working out for me, like I'm not going to push. I'll go ahead and work a couple hours on Saturday if that is the case. But it's just more important to me to just not try and force myself and then not give 100% to what I want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I just use that flexibility nowadays. I just have found that I have to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you're a big systems person, obviously. And when we were talking about you coming on the podcast, you kind of mentioned that you've set up systems and kind of standardized things. So I'm curious what kind of systems you set up to help support you as you are also working a part-time job. And I also want to specifically, if there's anything around like urgency and clients, because as service providers, I think there are a lot of people who are like, but I have to be available. My clients need me to respond via Slack in X amount of time. Obviously, I know we can communicate like, hey, you will get a response in such time. But I'm just curious about like what kind of systems and things that you've set up.
Yeah, so it's funny because I help a lot of my clients with that exact thing, because they come to me with, well, I really wish I had more time for creative time, and I'm like, well, when is your creative time best? And they're like, 9 to 11 in the morning, and I'm like, well, what do you do 9 to 11? I'm responding to emails. But I know your email has your office hours on there that starts after 11. So why are you responding to emails? So a lot of times it's just permission. And in fact, I had a client one time thank me for my boundaries because it gave her permission to hold to her
Mm,
boundaries better. So all of my contracts, my welcome packets, everything says these are my office hours. If I'm communicating with you outside of those hours, it's because I happen to be available, but it's not like you can't expect it. And there's a 24-hour response time because
hmm.
none of you are brain surgeons and I'm not helping you with surgery. So,
Amen.
I will hop on if your website crashes and I'm a person who can help you in that and it's in the scope of the work that I do for you. Okay. But otherwise, no. So we're going to find somebody else who can help you with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just had a thought. This kind of goes back to my earlier question about just the online space and how they treat people who also have a part-time job. But when you're talking with potential clients and sending out like the packets, or just whatever those conversations look like, I'm curious if you've ever had people who were like, I don't know, upset or not okay with you working part-time and being unavailable in certain times, or if you've ever had someone be like, oh, are you beginner? Because so many people do still work part-time in the beginning stages of
Mhm.
their business. And so I'm curious if you've ever had someone like, I don't know, doubt you because you work part-time, which is like such a weird sentence to ask, but you know what I'm saying.
If anybody has, they haven't done it to my face.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah. Now what's going on in their minds. I don't know. Uh, but but as far as like clients, I had clients when I took on the part-time job, and I just communicated with them that, they were going to receive the same services they had always been receiving. I just was not available to talk to them during these particular hours, and they were already very used to me not being available during certain hours. Those hours just shifted.
Mhm.
So it wasn't an issue at all. The only time it's been a problem is if I'm working on like doing a project management and working with multiple teams of like lots of
Mm.
people, and then trying to find time to schedule like in person or face to face meetings on Zoom. That becomes a struggle. But otherwise, I've learned to surround myself with clients and other folks in my network who also are like, no, I don't work on Mondays. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm not working on Mondays or whatever it happens to be.
Mhm.
So they're all very understanding. And we just find a way to work around it.
I think that's something that more people need to hear or remember is that like we get to work with the people and we can bring in and attract the people that are understanding and that don't care if a child accidentally shows up during a discovery call or you're sick or you have a part-time job or like whatever the life situation is. I think there's so many people that have a lot of pressure, and I used to be one of them too, that everything had to be like perfect. You couldn't accidentally have someone come into your office or the Wi-Fi drop or whatever. And I think it stems from coming from corporate. Where, you can get a slap on the wrist for the stupidest things. But I think because when I talk to people and they're like, oh, well, my clients would never be okay with me not being available from between 8 to 5, and I'm like, you just tell them up front. And if they're not okay with it, they're not your person. They're not an ideal client. And
Exactly.
I'm sure you see that a lot too when you're working with your clients on boundaries and systems. Do you
Uh-huh.
find that a lot of people still struggle with setting a boundary with their clients when it comes to communication? Because I know us web designers like to be available to people.
You do. You really do. And I do like that literally is one of the biggest things I help with because, it doesn't matter what systems we put in place if you're not going to uphold your boundaries. We're just blow by them. You've wasted the investment of whatever it is that I've helped you do.
Mm-hmm.
So getting used to that. And I think what a lot of people struggle with is that they think it's an all or nothing or I have to start today as
Mm.
opposed to starting it slowly. If you don't want to work on Fridays, but you have things booked for the next 6 Fridays, then just go in and fix your scheduler for after those 6 weeks and then work on building your schedule or, only being available for half a Friday or whatever it needs to be so you feel more comfortable. I think the small little experiments in establishing and upholding your boundaries gives you more confidence, especially when your clients don't seem to care.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you could say, my clients would be really upset if I'm not available every day from 8 to 5, but have you asked them?
Mm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
have you asked them? And honestly, you're a contractor and a business owner, you're not their employee. So it's really about you saying, I am not available.
Mm-hmm.
And if this will be a problem, let's have a conversation about how we can adjust this. But I am not available during
Mm-hmm.
these times.
Yes.
But starting small is probably the easiest way, and then we can work from there.
Yes. And are you thinking they would be upset or whatever because you won't be available because one person said this? And so now you're kind of assigning that outrage to every potential client? When, like I even have clients, they're like, oh, I'm trying to schedule my call with you. I'm not available on Tuesdays or, like whatever. That I feel like is the only hard part in the online space is because now slowly more people are having like call days or bigger boundaries about like only in the afternoons. And I'm like, what happens when your boundaries and my boundaries are like the opposite of each other?
Well, and that's
So,
where you can decide, are you going to do boundaries or are you going to do guidelines?
yes.
So, for instance, I don't take calls on Fridays. Generally, I do host a co-working thing for my email list on Fridays, but literally, like, it's co-working.
Yeah.
But as far as like actual meetings or whatever, I don't do Fridays unless there is something that I feel really strongly I want to participate in. Like somebody who only does coffee chats on Fridays. You know what? I can give up a half an hour on this Friday because, I got nothing else going
Mhm.
on, whatever it happens to be. So, yeah, there is a difference between hard and fast boundaries and the guidelines that you set. And I
Mm,
think maybe thinking of it in the framework of guidelines that you can be flexible with, but not too flexible with. Like,
but not
they
too
should still be
flexible.
there. Don't ignore
Yes.
them all the time. So.
Yes, yes. Okay, so my last question, for someone who's listening, maybe they are also working a part-time job or they're looking for a part-time job. Maybe they're feeling a little bit of shame around it because of the online space. What do you want them to hear right now?
There is no shame in doing what you need to do to keep yourself mentally and emotionally and physically healthy.
Mm. Mhm.
You didn't start your business so that you could run yourself into the ground and be miserable.
Amen. Amen. Yes. Like this business is supposed to, yes, provide for you, but also I think be fun or like bring a little bit of joy, be a creative outlet, like whatever that is. And if it's not enjoyable, change something or get a part-time job and change something. Like there's a lot of solutions and I think this is just a good one for people. And maybe you get a free gym membership out of it as well while you're at it.
Yeah, find a part-time job that you will actually enjoy as much as
Yes.
you possibly can. Don't go looking for a part-time job that's going to make you just hate going in, whatever. If you can
Mhm.
find something at a bookshop or a gym or whatever it happens to be, it makes it a lot more fun to do. So,
Yes. It would be dangerous if I worked at a bookstore. It would be
same.
very,
That's why
very
I don't.
dangerous. It would be so dangerous. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing a little bit of your business. Where can we connect with you online and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is at JackiHayes.co. Jackie, no I. And all my links to socials are right there.
Awesome. I will link that in the show notes. But thank you again for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.